In the golden age of Olympus, when the deities still shaped the destinies of the cosmos, the arrival of a new divine presence was felt in the vast heavens. Harmonia, daughter of Ares and Aphrodite, was begotten in an act of love that defied marital bonds and godly expectations. Harmonia was born with a grace that reflected her name, capable of softening even her father's combative spirit and making her mother's infinite beauty all the sweeter. However, her arrival also brought with it the need to balance the complex dynamics of her celestial family. She was not the only progeny of Ares. Her brothers, Deimos and Phobos, also born of his union with Aphrodite, embodied the terror and fear that accompanied the war. Along them, Eros and Anteros represented the contrasting forces of love. Deimos and Phobos were so similar in their dark appearance and menacing auras that only Harmonia could discern them with a glance. She could see beyond their twin countenances and recognize the subtleties of their being that made them unique. With his bow ever ready to arouse passion, Eros and Anteros, the avenger of unrequited love, likewise shared a beauty that only Harmonia knew how to appreciate in their individuality. Ares, who delighted in the bravery and vigor of combat, often looked upon his sons with a pride that resounded like the clang of 1,000 clashing shields. Aphrodite, whose essence emanated a love that could bend any being, saw in her children the full spectrum of her influences upon the world. Between them, Harmonia was the bridge, the mediator who, with a single glance, could calm the tempestuous spirit of Phobos or soften the stern gaze of Deimos. She shared confidence and laughter with Eros and Anteros, profoundly understanding the vagaries of the human heart. From her birth, Harmonia was surrounded by the whispers of the hours, who, moved by the concern that harmony on Olympus might be disturbed, wove a veil of concealment around her presence. This veil would protect her from prying eyes and hearts filled with envy. Still, it would keep her safe from the Olympian intrigues that often consumed the gods' attention. Raised far from mortal sight and under celestial tutelage, Harmonia grew up in an environment where divine nature intermingled with sacred responsibilities. She was instructed in the art of cosmic diplomacy by Themis, and educated in the virtues of moderation and patience by the Horas herself. However, the bond between Harmonia and her siblings remained strong despite their distance. Through Harmonia's eyes, Deimos and Phobos were not only the heralds of terror but also brave protectors. Eros and Anteros were not only manipulators of desire but also guardians of deep love. She saw the totality of their being, the light and the shadow, and loved them for it. And so, at the dawn of her existence, Harmonia would become a pillar of balance and unity, an essential link in the chain of deities that defined the fabric of the universe and its myriad hues. In the hidden orchard of Olympus, where flowers bloomed with the dew of dawn, and rivers murmured ancestral melodies, Harmonia grew under the golden light of the sun that never hid. The hours, divinities who marked the passing of time and the changing of the seasons, watched over her games and her laughter, ensuring that the young goddess did not lack guidance and protection. Harmonia's education was as unique as her birth. Themis, her grandmother, taught her to recognize the justice and morality that governed gods and mortals alike, instilling the virtues of balance and harmony in every action and thought. Harmonia was a quick learner, her mind like a polished mirror that reflected and understood the complexities of existence. While Aphrodite showed her the mysteries of love and beauty, instilling in her heart the ability to appreciate passion with compassion and sensitivity, Ares, in the secret moments he stole from the battlefield, spoke to her of strength and courage, of the need to fight for what was considered just, and of the importance of strategy and will in confrontation. Despite her parents' influence, Harmonia did not adopt extremes. In her, beauty was not vanity but a gateway to the understanding of the divine in the mortal, and strength was not brutality but the necessary underpinning for the defense of justice. With the grace of Aphrodite and the courage of Ares, Harmonia wove a unique character, capable of inspiring those around her. Harmonia was not only nourished by divine teachings. She often entered the realms of men in disguise to better understand those she was destined to serve. She observed their sorrows and joys, conflicts and reconciliations. From each experience, she learned the importance of balance in the human soul. the child goddess grew into a young woman of refined manners and wisdom. She entertained herself in dialogues with Athena, debating the virtues of wisdom and just war, and at times she immersed herself in the underwater domains of Poseidon, where the serenity of the ocean taught her the importance of calm and the constant flow of life. But it was not all lessons in learning. Harmonia played with Eros and Anteros, laughing as their arrows flew, creating and dissolving bonds between the gods, learning about the power of affection and brotherhood, and how love could be both an agent of union and discord even in the divine realm. In time, Harmonia became the living embodiment of unity and conciliation. Her reputation spread beyond the boundaries of Olympus, and many deities and mortals desired her counsel and presence, hoping that the young goddess could bring a fragment of her divine harmony into their lives. When Harmonia reached the fullness of her divinity, the gods of Olympus agreed that the time had come to reveal her presence to the world. A lavish ceremony was organized in the celestial halls, an event that would surpass in magnificence any previously held in the abode of the gods. News of the festivity spread swiftly, carried by Hermes, the divine messenger, to every corner of the cosmos. From Tartarus's depths to Mount Olympus's heights, all beings were invited to witness the consecration of the goddess of concord and harmony. On the appointed day, a procession of gods, titans, nymphs, and heroes assembled on Olympus. Nature itself seemed to hold its breath in expectation. Harmonia, wrapped in a robe woven by the Moiras themselves, spinner of the destiny of gods and mortals, advanced gracefully to the center of the congregation. Zeus, the king of the gods, presided over the meeting. With his authority, he proclaimed that Harmonia would preserve peace in all spheres of the universe. From the battles of men to immortal rivalries, she would be the balance that would always seek equilibrium. Though wounded by the deceit of his wife, Aphrodite, Hephaestus recognized Harmonia's purity and importance. In his forge, he had forged a unique necklace known as the spondion, an object of considerable power that would amplify Harmonia's ability to instill serenity and unity wherever there was discord. The necklace was adorned with gems that captured the light of the sun and moon, and each jewel was enchanted with spells of reconciliation and brotherhood. As it was placed around Harmonia's neck, the assembly of deities was struck dumb by the beauty that radiated from the goddess, now fully invested in her divine role. Harmonia took her place in the Olympian pantheon with the gods' consent, vowing that her work would bridge chaos and order, love and war, friendship and enmity. And so Harmonia became a force that would roam both the celestial and earthly realms, inspiring all beings to seek balance and peace. Heaven and earth seemed to stop their eternal dance when Harmonia laid eyes on Cadmus, the valiant Phoenician prince. Their first meeting was fortuitous, a twist of fate under the watchful eye of the gods. Cadmus, guided by the capricious oracles, had set out in search of his sister, Europa, abducted by Zeus in his Taurian form. But instead, in the gardens of the Hesperides, he found Harmonia. Harmonia, with her presence calming the most turbulent waters and calming the most violent winds, was equally captivated by the nobility and courage that Cadmus exuded. Upon seeing her, he knew instantly that no earthly treasure or victory could compare with the goddess before him. Love blossomed with the swiftness of a spark that lights the flame of an inextinguishable bonfire. The relationship grew under the sun of the days and the silver of the nights, a sweet song that rose above the whisper of the rivers and the rustle of the leaves. The gods watched, some with delight, others with curiosity and suspicion. For it was a love that crossed the boundaries of the divine and the mortal, uniting two worlds in perfect consonance. The union of Harmonia and Cadmus was announced with the fanfare of heaven. Though hurt by the betrayal of his wife, Aphrodite, Hephaestus put aside his grudge. It forged a splendid necklace for Harmonia, endowed with supernatural beauty and magical powers. However, the gifts that stood out the most were a dress given by Athena and a necklace made by Hephaestus in the shape of two snakes. However, these two gifts were cursed by the gods Hephaestus and Athena. They had a certain repulsion towards Harmonia as she was the fruit of Aphrodite's infidelity and love affair with the god of war, Ares. The curse they placed on both gifts was to bring misfortune to whoever possessed the objects. The wedding was celebrated in Thebes, a city Cadmus founded after following a cow as a sign of destiny and killing the dragon Ares had placed to guard the sacred fountain. The ceremony was an unprecedented event that brought together gods and mortals. The nuptial rites were presided over by Zeus, who blessed the union, and the Muses intoned hymns that resounded in every corner of the known world. All the gods attended the wedding and were given magnificent gifts. Hera gave him a golden throne, Ares a spear, and Hermes a fantastic scepter. The offspring of Harmonia and Cadmus were known to be extraordinary, with prophecies that spoke of heroes and demigods who would leave an indelible mark on the history of mankind. But there were also dark omens, whispers that spoke of trials and tribulations, of a lineage marked by greatness and tragedy. The lineage of Cadmus and Harmonia, composed of their offspring Polydorus, Hino, Autono, Senile, and Agave, was shadowed by the shadow of an ancestral curse. Tragedy struck first their daughter Senile, who, having become Zeus' lover, conceived in her womb the future Dionysus. However, her existence was extinguished under the flames of a cruel fate when Hera, disguised as a servant, persuaded her to challenge Zeus to reveal himself in all his divine glory. When Zeus appeared in his celestial form, the mortal Senile could not survive the fiery glow of divinity and perished instantly. Fortunately, the neonate Dionysus was rescued, and later, Ino, Senile's sister, and her husband Adamante took over his upbringing. However, Hera's wrath knew no mercy. Consumed by a divinely induced madness, Adamante perpetrated the murder of one of his sons and almost succeeded in killing Ino, who, in an act of desperation, threw herself and her other son into the void. In a twist of fate, both were deified, becoming deities of the sea. The misfortune continued with Autono, whose son Actaeon suffered divine punishment when he tripped over the goddess Artemis in his bath. He was metamorphosed into a stag and devoured by his hunting dogs for his reckless gaze. Agave, another of the descendants, had a son named Pentheus. With flagrant contempt for the cult of Dionysus, he provoked the god's wrath, who, in retaliation, instilled a ferocious madness in Agave, Ino, and sister Epirus. Under this spell, they tore Pentheus apart, believing they were facing a wild beast. After a whirlwind of misfortunes, Cadmus and Harmonia delegated power to their son Polydorus and retired to Ilia. There, Cadmus, after helping in the struggle between the peoples of the Anklos and the Heliros, set himself up as governor. In the twilight of their days, the couple had a last son, Illyrius, who gave his name to the country. But peace was short-lived. The wrath of Ares persisted, still resenting the death of his sacred serpent at the hands of Cadmus, and transforming him into one of these creatures. Witnessing Cadmus' transformation, Harmonia implored her father to grant her the same fate, eager to share eternity with her beloved, even under the shadowy new form.